is the approval of the agenda, introduction of late items. Are there any late items?
Was that introduced?
Scott?
I have nothing.
Emma?
What was the
What
notes
did
that
we
you
do?
emailed?
Yeah,
There we are.
those have been introduced. Okay.
I have no new items. Ellen, do you have new items?
No, we're good there. The adoption of the minutes, I happened to be, I was in that meeting, that was 2 years ago, 2 months. And I think we can just ask for approval of the minutes. From my point of view, the auditors are fine. Rick? Yeah.
There's a lot of information in here because when we were preparing for this meeting,
Yeah.
had to search the building for Board of Variance minutes. So I tried to make sure that
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
it was a very long process, that one. So there it is. Okay, so let's go to the next item then. So the minutes are approved. Public comments, we don't have a lot of public here, I guess. So do we skip that,
Yeah.
or do we just note the public comments? And then we go to a new business, and that's why we are actually here, which is regarding the application for 608 Magee Road.
Okay.
So I think that the municipality has done everything according to books, right, with the notifications and all that. And then, and there were no responses. There was
Not a
nothing at
single
all.
one. None.
Okay. Then the item 4.2 is Anna herself. You're going to go through the staff report, the application, and the notes for context.
Okay. Just a brief presentation. This is a roughly 8 hectare property that is to the east of Killarney Lake. As you can see over here is Killarney. Property is right here. The house is located on the southwest side of the property, and this is the existing footprint of the house, and the proposed development includes a carport, workshop, and a single roof structure over both buildings. And just a very brief history, to my understanding. A building permit was issued in 1995 for the construction of this entire project. However, occupancy was issued only for the completed house. The foundations for the carport were partially completed at the time, but once occupancy is issued, a building permit is considered inactive. In 2017, a builder approached the building inspector regarding completion of the carport piece of this property, and I don't have documentation of the discussion. I know there was an email reference, but I don't have a copy.
Oh, I can provide a copy of
You
email.
have, yeah, that would be great.
So it's not directly,
March 8th, 2017.
yeah.
Okay. But according to the notes submitted by the applicant, the building inspector relayed his intention to approve the drawings as provided by the architect, given that the original structure intended was approved but not constructed. It was assumed the municipality would re-energize the original permit and no new permit would be required. Again, I wasn't present for that conversation, didn't have a lot more information to go on. The building inspector at the time was Conrad Yashk, who has since retired. So I don't have his comment on it either. But I would highlight that at this point, it seems that it is an assumption that no permit is required for completing the carport. In 2018, the architect for this project contacted the building inspector, who is now Greg Cormier, regarding the requirement for up-to-date engineering drawings, and the building inspector confirmed that such drawings would be needed for a project like this. And in 2019, I believe in March, a building permit application was submitted, and during the review process it was found that the proposed development did not conform with land use bylaw regulations. The property is currently zoned rural residential 1, which does allow the use of single detached dwelling and accessory uses to that, such as the carport and workshop. So those comply. However, section 3.13 requires at least 1.8 meters between accessory buildings and structures and the nearest principal building. The proposed development, so you can kind of make out this poor resolution photocopy. This is the proposed roof structure over the carport and workshop, and this is the existing house. As you can see, the roof structure goes well into that 1.8 meter separation and actually overlaps the existing roof of the house. So the request for this variance is really an exemption from section 3.13 to remove the 1.8 meter separation entirely. I highlighted this in red just to show you.
Yeah.
That portion of the proposed development is in contravention of 3.13. And this is the site plan view from up top, the existing house, the proposed roof structure over the carport and workshop. And this is the portion that would be within 1.83 of the existing house. As far as alternative options, planning staff identified 2 options for completing the proposed development with a design that does comply with land use bylaw regulations. The first one would be simply to remove the contravening section, so all parts of the structure that are within 1.8 meters of the house. This obviously opens up the occupant to the elements when going from the carport to the house for a short distance. And then the second option would be to actually extend the carport building structure to within 3 meters of the existing house, and then connecting the roof structure. Under the land use bylaw definition for a building, by being within 3 meters and having a connected roof structure, this would be considered a single building, and section 3.13 would not apply.
What is the dimension, do you know, right now, between the two?
Right now, they're at the closest point, it's 10.7, so it's like 9.5 inches further apart than 3 meters.
The current
Okay.
carport?
There is a section, the back section of the carport is actually just 9 inches, within 9 inches of the 3 meter.
So this,
So it's
this
like
section
it's
here.
3.24 meters away from the other structure.
So we're 9 inches out, and we're 9 inches too far away right now.
And that was because the existing foundation was located there back when that wasn't a requirement.
Okay, so to be clear, we're
Sorry,
talking about the distance from the current carport wall
Yes.
to where that 3 meter mark would be.
On one section, on one corner. I'm just saying on the back corner, because you took, yeah. There's an 8-foot portion of the carport beyond the breezeway that corresponds to that 1.8 meter from the existing house.
You're saying it's 9 inches
9 inches, 9.5 inches, yes.
to get to 3 meters?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm
It's hard to
talking
tell.
eave to eave, roof line to roof line.
Okay. We're looking at wall, at least that's how I understand the building
Well,
inspector.
but you didn't take the 1.8 meters from the wall, you took it from the overhang.
Yeah, but there's a funny
That's the
bit
roof
unclear
structure.
too. Because it said from any point of the structure, so in the documentation that you sent, you actually took it from eave to eave.
For the 1.8 meter separation.
Okay.
Yes. For the 3 meter, it's from building.
From wall to wall.
Oh, okay, well no, we're not close
Yeah.
at all.
My understanding is it's closer to 3
No, because then you'd add
meters
another 8 feet, because the
Yeah.
overhangs are 4
3
feet on either side. Okay,
Yeah.
fair
to
enough.
get there, which is roughly this.
But, yeah,
Okay,
but that
so
can't be done because of the topography
This doesn't really matter now, I think
Yeah.
you just have to let
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
finish it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm sure you have a lot of supplementary information. I'm just presenting what the options are as far
Okay.
as the bylaw is concerned.
Sure.
So there are the two options: remove the 1.8 meter portion of the structure that's in the 1.8 meter separation, or to bring the building within 3 meters of the existing house and connecting the roof structure.
Yeah.
So that's essentially all the information in the application. There was the submission from the applicant with the notes of the chronology of events. That was submitted after the staff report was submitted, so that's separate and not really included in the report. Just going to leave this up on the screen. This is the as laid out by the Local Government Act, what the Board of Variance is responsible for looking at in these applications. Yeah, so I don't know if you want me to cover this. Only minor variances, to hear what the applicant has to say, finding undue hardship, and making sure there's no unintended adverse impacts.
So when you added the red in the revised agenda, right, it says notes for context. Is that part of what you just said, or is that something separate?
I believe I covered it here.
Yeah, it was added, right? So,
Yeah.
okay. So I guess does it make sense that we ask you some questions before we go to 4.3? Because it says that every bylaw has an intent, right? Every bylaw has an intent.
Yes,
And
should.
then I was trying to figure out that if you look at this home in its current setting, and if you check the intent of the bylaw, like if you would have to explain to the general public, why these two separations exist and what the logic, the rationale is behind that. So what's the intent of the bylaw?
In this case, I can't say. I can't answer that.
So for you, it's just a number, right? It's sort of like, the reason I'm asking for it is that if you're, for instance, in a very tight area, right, and then maybe if people start connecting everything, it looks like one massive building. But here, it's hard to figure out what the intent is. If you would look at from what would it actually accomplish, right? So for this, because like it says that somewhere in here, intent of bylaw, right? So that if we think about it's a bylaw that's in the books, and therefore you have to either comply or you don't comply, right? But then if you go back to all these councils that put this bylaw in effect, right? Or planning departments, of course, they have an objective. And
At some
it's
point.
kind of a bit puzzling here what that objective will be,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So it's almost more like, I find a little bit that I can't really see how relevant it is, how far away it is. But then I just wondered if you had something to say about the intent of the bylaw. So then maybe we should go back to item 4.3, which is the applicant's, Steve Tramp, I believe, opportunity to speak to the board.
Well, I'll just
Oh, you want to finish?
to the question. Well, I don't know what the it's not clear the intent of that bylaw.
Yeah.
It's the bylaw's been adopted several times over, handed down from Islands Trust. As a guess,
Yeah.
my guess would be that it's to, like you had mentioned, to avoid developments of multiple buildings that in massing look like a single large building that may be too imposing.
This has something to do also with maybe how floor space is counted, so that if you have I don't know if this actually is the case on Bowen, but in a lot of municipalities, if a garage is attached, you have to include it in square footage, like in Vancouver. Like an attached garage is included in square footage, but a detached garage has its relaxation of floor space, right? So does this have anything to do with floor space calculations, or in your mind that's not the case?
I don't think so. Whether detached or attached, the garage is included in the floor area calculation if it meets like the amount of enclosed space, the height of the ceiling, That's what determines if it's included or not.
Right, okay.
Just one other question. When did the bylaw change? Was it 2004, was it?
The land use bylaw?
This was changed, this new, the 1'8" that came into it, or the,
That's a good question.
This bylaw is dated 2002. I don't know if there was an earlier version. But
This bylaw was adopted by Bowen Island Municipality in 2002.
2002.
Previous to that, we were using the Islands Trust
Mhm.
land use bylaw, which is almost exactly the same.
I just was wondering whether or not something came up in a project where it actually became a big issue as far as the separation was concerned, and whether or not that particular project set the guidelines at that particular point for the rest of the change. So I didn't know if that came up. You don't know if there's any?
This 1.8 meter requirement didn't come into, wasn't drafted during the time that Bowen Island was a municipality.
I see.
It was inherited from well beyond
Okay.
that time.
So then, when these plans were approved, were they actually complying with that bylaw in
1995?
1995?
Well, the building permit was issued.
Yeah, but did the plan checker possibly make a mistake then, or was that?
That would have been the Islands Trust.
Because like if you say that, look, they were inherited and in this building permit was issued in 1995, when you're talking about
2002, yeah.
2002, right?
Mhm.
Three. So then, if that bylaw was on the books, then maybe the permit was issued by air, no?
Or it would depend what the regulations were at the time in 1995.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
And that was before we were a municipality.
Yeah.
That would have been the Islands Trust.
Okay.
But regardless of whether that permit was issued in error, it's lapsed.
Yeah, I understand that, but,
Yeah.
but you know, if you're an owner and you have a permit, you still, you know, feel that at that time you have the right to feel that. Okay, so then I'm going to go to the next item then. Okay, applicant's opportunity to speak to the board.
Okay. Well, just a couple of points. I guess part of it is that we felt that it was late in the game, given that there was a permit issued in '95, and then in 2017, it didn't seem that there was any issues with the structure, and it was only after we've spent money on engineering costs to upgrade, that we were then had a final review which brought up this discrepancy. So we felt we're kind of caught by surprise, and also, you know, the owner and the architect still feel like they always wanted to complete the project, and this was the vision for the project, and so, you know, we'd like to do that. And we haven't done anything without seeking approval, so that's why we're here. But anyway, that's sort of our hardship case, sort of where we're at. I don't know if Bruce has anything further to add.
No, I feel a little disappointed, actually, in the sense that we were originally led to believe that we could just, you know, we constructed it with the view of building it. And when we decided to proceed with it, which was obviously a number of years after we built the house, we built what we did, when we did, with the intention of doing it. It's just, you know, we didn't proceed with it at the time, and when we did decide to proceed, Conrad Wood was going to do it, and he approached the municipality and was told certain things, and we made certain plans based on that, so
Yeah.
it changed the ballpark.
Yeah, for sure.
And we don't have a lot of flexibility, given that the foundations of the structure, even though we've upgraded them for seismic reasons, there's still a lot of infrastructure there that was invested in 1995 with the view of building.
The municipality's option two, to move the building or extend, I mean, that just doesn't work. We've got foot-wide concrete walls that would have to be changed. It's just totally impossible to do that. Not
Okay.
impossible, but certainly very practical and costly.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Now, it says a chronology. Is that, we kind of read
That's
through
this
that, right?
document. I'm just providing a later
Oh, okay.
document, which is from the applicant. So
And
this-
is that what you kind of summarize now?
that's what the applicant is summarizing.
Most of those points have been brought up in the meeting already. I just did
Okay.
that.
So these letter bullet points are just naming documents that are provided.
Right.
At this point, I don't think there's anything new in there.
Okay. That's fine, that's good. Now, we don't have, if we go on to item 4.4, we don't have the public here to speak, so we can skip that one, right? And then 4.6 is the board that makes a recommendation. Can I speak for that?
Discuss.
As a start, or? Chris?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
What I kind of thought is that there's a few things that struck me here. I mean, I can see what Bruce Guy was saying about the disappointment, because this is a special house that is done with a lot of care. As you probably know, this is done by a very known architectural firm, Hollingsworth. You know, was this the father or the son mostly?
Fred?
It was Fred Hollingsworth himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. If you have structures like that in the municipality, a lot of them become modern heritage homes that are protected, and municipalities and heritage committees do the utmost best to preserve these kind of buildings. So from that point of view, if you look at the merit of the design and the people that have been behind this, I would say it would be a missed opportunity for Bowenheim not to see this design completed. You know, every once in a while a house goes down in North Shore that's designed by Fred Hollingsworth or by one of his contemporaries. There's always a huge kerfuffle, right? It's in the paper, there's lawsuits that goes on and on. So I think from So I would say that one of the reasons is that I honestly believe that, I don't know if the word hardship is totally correct, but that it would be a loss and a mistake not to build this house according to the original intent of Fred Hollingsworth. There would be
I'm sorry if I misled you, but it's a Russell.
Yeah, so
Hollingsworth
also, you
design.
know, I kind of think that, you know, that's why I asked you,
Continuation.
is it the father or the son?
Yeah.
But they've worked for years as a team.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, it's really a team effort. It's just that, of course, Fred was more famous than Russell, right? I mean, you never know what happens all the time, but I think it's still, from my point of view, very simple.
Thank you.
Then of course, the previous permit was issued, and I think as a homeowner, you feel disappointed that suddenly something changes. Today, we're kind of puzzled, you know, what was changed when and why in the bylaw. And then, if we talk to this item about the intent, then I think that if the bylaw doesn't have a clear explanation what the intent is in this particular case, then I would say that the intent of the bylaw doesn't have much impact in this particular issue. Then you said about the work that was done in anticipation of proceeding. So it actually, as you said, it came definitely very late in the game, and that is in my mind definitely hardship. It's not, I mean, I know that the Board of Variance can't really take cost into effect, but if you take everything else, the energy, the time, the disappointment. So I kind of feel that you know, I don't know what Rick thinks, of course, but personally, I'm totally in favor of just a complete exemption and proceed with the work as intended.
Yeah, I agree. The intent of the 1.8 meters is, I don't quite understand the intent, because if the garage and carport is a little closer, and you make that connection between the house and you've got a single building there. And so whether the 1.8 is there, meters are there or not, and I can't see leaving that big gap there, because it would take the whole idea of putting that covered walkway, you get to the last 8 or 10 feet of it, and it's soaked away. I mean, what's the intent of taking it down to that point? But you will have to put in additional columns, I guess, at the end of that, two
Yeah, there
columns
is.
in there. And I fully agree. I think from what I've seen today and the construction that's going on right now is pretty impressive. I would agree that it should go forward with the restriction of the 1.8 meters, not eliminated. So, I don't think you want to connect. See, the two of them is that if you have the building a little bit closer and you connect the two together, then you can pick up that distance in there. So you'd have to move the carport in order to do that. So I don't see any sense in connecting it right now either. I think the overlap is fine.
Okay, so if it's between the two of us, that's
So-
unanimous approval
Well, I've got
or
the,
recommendation.
the Board of Variance application for BB 012019, single family dwelling on 608 Magee Road, be allowed. Or do you want to be allowed with the following conditions?
I thought what you do is there's an exemption, you know, for the bylaw that,
Is it better, right?
you know,
Oh, you got it here?
oh, it says what the,
Yeah, we'll do.
I think it's just be allowed as well.
Be allowed?
Yeah.
So under 4.6, I've written,
4.6, yeah?
yeah.
So there's 3 options there.
Oh, yeah,
That
you're
the
right.
application be denied, be allowed, or be allowed with the following conditions, if
Yeah.
we wanted to add conditions.
Well, I think that one condition that seems to be kind of normal, that is the 2 years for the projects to, I can't remember if it's starting or is a time limit normally. It says that in your own document, it is relevant, and it says that typically there is a time limit, so I don't know if you want to put it in there, but that seems to be normal.
That's fine, we could have it up in a couple
I
of
think
weeks.
they went to 2 weeks ago.
No, you know, except, well, look, it'll take 5 years, 45 years, right?
Yeah.
With the development variance permit, the standard is 2 years.
Yeah, so 2 years. yes,
Okay.
But that's what it's.
That the construction be complete within 2 years?
Okay.
Mover,
So, yeah.
mover,
Vote, we have
seconder.
to vote now. In favor? That's on camera, you know, it's procedure.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's good, that's good.
Excellent.
So that's it?
Yeah.
Okay, then we can adjourn the meeting, right?
Caitlin, you did it for
So
my
with the
So-
Board of Variance, there's no permit that needs to be issued, so the decision